Hello again, everybody, and welcome to the Mike Francesa podcast, part of the Bet Rivers Network. We come to you after game one of the Eastern Conference Finals, and I would have thought it was going to be a little different topic a little while ago, as I was sitting there in the fourth quarter, as with 7 minutes left, I watched fans starting to leave the Garden. Okay, Cleveland's up 22 points, and you're figuring, wow. Everyone thought the Knicks were gonna win this series. The Knicks were almost a 3-1 favorite in this series. Now they got their comeuppance. They can't do anything easily. Now they're gonna make this a brutal series. This team has talent, Cleveland, blah, 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 blah. And then it started. And honestly, I look at this, a lot of Knicks fans who are giddy right now and are listening to this, look at this from the Knicks standpoint, which I understand. I observe the game and I say, "Why?" Because when you blow a lead like this, when you lose a game like this, and this game will, without question, absolutely devastate, absolutely devastate Cleveland. Listen, I didn't think Cleveland was going to win the series anyway. This game will have enormous repercussions because it's a game that they had won. Harden is standing on the foul line with a 22-point lead, and he misses the second free throw. Okay, it is 7:52 on the clock. The Knicks are down 22. They have had a nightmare. They have played no defense. They are 4 for 24 from 3. They have done nothing right all night. Okay, Brunson's taking bad shots. He couldn't make a 3. Nobody could make a 3. They gave up layups. They gave up offensive rebound. They were awful. And at that point, off that Brunson miss and an offensive rebound, Shamet, and underline that name, Shamet hits a 3. That made it 93-76. Okay, so now they've come back. It was 93-71. It could have been 94-71. Harden misses the free throw. Harden, who had a nightmare from that juncture. Firstly, he had a bad game to begin with. Secondly, from there on, what they did with Harden on both ends of the floor and the coaching decisions they made with Harden were just mind-bogglingly bad. He misses the free throw. Brunson gets a basket. Then Brunson misses a basket. They get an offensive rebound. Shamet makes a 3. So now they've scored 5 straight points. It's 93-76. From that point, you saw one of the great runs, a virtuoso performance by Brunson, who, after the Shamet 3, puts forth an incredible run. Now, explain this to me, though. Why would you, when Brunson, who has had an ice cold game, gets going, as he often does in the fourth quarter, why would you keep Harden on him when he goes around Harden like he isn't even there? He goes around Harden the way guys go around him. Why would you not take Harden off him? You have 3 or 4 options of guys who can guard him, who are much better defensive guard options than Harden is. He keeps Harden on him, and Brunson buries Harden play after play after play after play, rarely a double team, scores 11 straight points, and then everybody else gets in the action. And during this time, all Cleveland can do is come down and fire up a bad option and can't make free throws. Allen goes to the foul line, misses both free throws, critical free throws with 5 minutes left. Harden misses a jumper. They get a shot clock violation. Mitchell misses a jumper. Okay. Mobley makes a huge 3 that puts them back 8, which I thought may have won them the game. And that sequence right there was enormous because Off that, OG gets fouled. He makes the first free throw. He misses the second free throw, and they call an offensive foul that was obscene. It was they called it off the missed free throw. Remember, they called a foul on Cleveland, a loose ball foul, which was non-existent, which turned out to be an enormous, enormous factor in the game. There were so many things that the Knicks had their rabbit's foot out then because every ball that could go in for the Knicks spun in or went up and came down and went in. Every ball that could spin out for Cleveland spun out. But that's how these things happen when you're 22 points down. They get the foul, which was a horrific call. And then Bridges nails the three to make it a 4-point game. Harden comes down, misses another shot. And then Jared gets the tip in that puts them up 6, but the Knicks are far from through because with 114, Bridges. Yes, Bridges. Remember how down you guys were on Bridges? And I talked about how it was so important for the head coach to bring him back into the community before they hit the playoffs. Make him part of this team again. And you saw it with his defense, always with his defense. And then saw it with those 2 huge threes he hit tonight. Do not in any way discount the 5 threes that were made between Bridges and Shamet. And give Brown credit, he started the overtime with Shamet. He went with him. And Shamet responded in enormous fashion because it's 99-96 after the Bridges make. And Mitchell misses again. And Shamet comes down with 45 seconds left. And with a ball that goes up, comes down, spins around, and goes through, ties the game at 99. Harden makes the only basket he made in forever to put him up 2. Brunson comes back down and makes another one of his dancing, floating bank shots. And then Merrill shot amazingly. And Merrill can shoot, as you know, and he played well. That ball looked like it was 3 quarters down. It spun around and came out. And I knew when they went to overtime, I didn't think there was I'm being honest. I didn't think the Knicks had a prayer in the 4th quarter. I know nobody did. I didn't think Cleveland had a prayer in overtime. Did not think there was any way with what was going on in that building, what Cleveland had done. How can a team with a 22-point playoff lead with a team that has veteran players and talented players, how can that team be so inefficient on both ends of the floor and have as their guards Mitchell and Harden? Now, Harden, you know what I think of Harden. I don't want him anywhere near my team. He's always been bad in big games. Okay. You saw him again tonight have an absolute nightmare, a nightmare on both ends of the floor. He couldn't make a basket on the offensive end. He turned the ball over. He couldn't make a basket. He couldn't make his free throws. And he got torn apart on the defensive end of the floor. Why they continue to go to him, I will not understand. Why Atkinson did not change his defensive assignments on Brunson, and then if you didn't want to do that, at least run double teams at him and get the ball out of his hands. Eventually, he did that. When he did it, it was too late, and then came the threes. This was a game that was so far gone that you not only had to win it with heroics like the Knicks did, you had to actually get cooperation from the other team to help lose it and get Lady Luck to have the ball bounce every which way, which all happened, which is how you get a win when you're down 22 points in a playoff game with 7 minutes left. One bad possession, one bad foul, one three-pointer that goes in for them, and you don't win the game. This is as bad a loss as you could possibly suffer, and then to realize what they have on their floor with veteran players and the guards that they have, this should never, ever, ever, ever happen. But Brunson got red hot, as he has a fourth quarter habit of doing. He had a guy on him who was made to order. They didn't adjust, and when they did finally adjust, the guys who had to come up and make threes did. Boom, Bridges. Boom, Shamet. And Shamet, to me, had the 3 biggest baskets of the game. He had the basket that ignited the rally from 93-73 to 93-76 with 6:58 on the clock. That's number 1. Number 2 was the one with 40 seconds left, which tied the game at 99. Then the third one in overtime with 149 left ended the game 110-101 when he made the icer, when he made the one that put the game away. So he started the rally, he tied the game, and then he put the finishing touches and pulled the lid and put it on tight to end the game. Coming off the bench to have that kind of performance is how you win playoff games. Going to your bench and believing in the guy on the bench that he can give you that performance, that he can be that valuable a player. Just utterly remarkable. It really was. Watching that unfold, and when I watch a game, I watch it from both sides. I don't watch it from one side. That Cleveland didn't have proper answers in their offensive nor defensive execution while this started to chip away was almost hard to fathom. I like their coach a lot. I've known him a very long time. He's a good basketball man. I just didn't understand some of the things he pulled tonight or what he relied on. And his faith in Harden in these playoffs is bound to kill him. And it got him tonight because he put his game in Harden's hands, and Harden was awful on both ends of the floor. Absolutely awful. And let's be honest, the Knicks defense picked up. Cleveland got tighter and tighter. I don't think Cleveland got tired. I heard that at the end of the game, they ran out of gas. They didn't run out of gas. The game got tight, and they couldn't execute a proper play. They got the one play where Mobley hit the 3 to put them up 8. And then OG missed the second free throw, which was gonna give them the ball and a 7-point lead, and they called a foul there, which you go back and look at and tell me where the foul was. There was no foul. That was an atrocious, aggressive, game-turning call because they made a 3 off that. That was an enormous, pivotal moment in the game. But you gotta get breaks. You gotta make breaks, you gotta get breaks, the ball's gotta bounce the right way, and everything did, and then in the overtime, the Knicks completely took over, and when you realize when the smoke clears and you look at the 12 minutes, the overtime, and the 7 minutes of the regular game where they were down 22, they outscored Cleveland 44-11. A veteran Cleveland team with a backcourt of Mitchell and Harden, and they got outscored 44-11 to have the Knicks capture game 1. And the heroes for the Knicks are very, very obvious. We know what Brunson can do. Listen, he wound up taking 30 shots tonight. He got red hot. He got unconscious. He got them back in the game with that run. He made shot after shot. I could not believe they didn't adjust defensively, but they didn't, and he made shot after shot, including 1 3, which is the only 3 he made in the game. The Knicks were 4 for 24 at one point, and they wound up 10 for 32. So they made 6 of their last 8 threes, and they needed every one of them. 6 of their last 8 threes. They were 4 for 24, and they wound up 10 for 32. And Shamet, who goes 3 for 3 from 3, who plays 17 minutes and is a plus 25. You heard me. 17 minutes plus 25 when he was on the floor. How good was he tonight? Plus 25. And made 3 threes that I just pointed out to you were the biggest threes in the game. Bridges, 18 points, played 42 minutes, and hit 2 enormous threes down the stretch. He can be a forgotten man. And this is why you never give up on Bridges, because he can be a forgotten man in these games offensively for 2 quarters or more where he hasn't touched the basketball. He hasn't been an option on one play, and then you throw him the ball and he knocks down a 3, or you throw him the ball and he makes a basket. 18 points on 11 shots, 7 for 11 from the floor. Economical, as always. Defense, as always, okay? And 2 enormous threes. They don't get here without them. They don't get to regulation. They don't get to overtime without those 2 enormous threes from Bridges. And, of course, Brunson, who wound up with 38 and got red hot in the 4th quarter and made all those crazy off-balance drives when he banks the ball off all different angles, and, hey, he had he had a pigeon, and he just played the pigeon, and they let him play the pigeon over and over and over again. And when they finally went to run some double teams at him, he got the ball to the guy who hit the threes, which is what he's supposed to do. OG had a quiet game, but he made some plays down the stretch, which showed you that, listen, he played 34 minutes. I don't know if he's 100%. Okay, he had been their best player in the first couple of series. I don't think there's any question about that. He had played the best basketball of his life. He had played as well as anybody in the playoffs. Tonight, he didn't shoot the ball well, but he made his free throws when he had to. He made plays when he had to. So for the Knicks, one for the books. You're never out of these games. And at 22 points with Harden on the line, I admit I was watching and I was saying, "Look, I'm watching people leave," but I said, "You know what? Let's be honest. Knicks aren't winning this game." And I didn't think they were. Because do you know how many things have to go right for the Knicks and wrong for Cleveland in the last 7 minutes to make up 22 points? They got an 18-1 run over 5 minutes. An 18-1 run against a team that has Harden and Mitchell in the backcourt. Mitchell, one of the prolific playoff scorers. Nothing down the stretch. Harden, he did have a basket in the final minute, but other than that, nothing. Missed free throws. Those free throws just set a tone. The one Harden missed, the 2 Allen missed. They make those, it's a whole different game. You could feel the tide when the basketball game changes like that, and you get an epic comeback. which is usually in somebody's home court, the team coming from behind, the crowd now going crazy, the team with the lead getting rattled, starting to look around, starting to look at each other, taking too much time to get the shot off, doing nothing positive. We know how it happens. And then when it got inside 10 points, you said, "Whoa, wait a second." And then when it got to 94-89, you said, "We got a ball game. We got a ball game." But still, theirs had to rattle out, and the Knicks had to go up and around and through. And you had to get a horrific call from the official. And that was a bad call. I'm sorry. You go back and look, you'll see that was a terrible, and it was a big call and it was a terrible call. But give the Knicks credit. After a night of being ice cold, shooting 17% from 3, they go out and make 3 after 3 after 3, starting with a bench player who led them. Shamet's an interesting guy because, if you go back far enough, you know what kind of collegiate he was, and you know he's a basketball player, and he's not afraid to take the big shot. As a matter of fact, he welcomes the big shot. And he has showed you he will make the big shot, and you saw a coach show that, "Hey, I'm going with him down the stretch." You can get out there and you are playing, you can get out there and you can contribute, and you can get out there and make the big shot, which he did on 3 different occasions. I thought we were gonna come down here and say, "Hey, listen, all right, the days off hurt. They were lackluster. They were overconfident. The whole city now got its comeuppance. Everybody thought this was gonna be an easy series. Welcome to the final. Who's gonna be? Is it gonna be San Antonio or OKC after Wemby's performance in game 1? Blah, 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 blah." Okay? Knicks almost a 3-1 favorite, and it looked like it was going to be a really bad game 1 performance. One that was going to have everybody on edge here for a couple of days waiting for a game 2 that they had to win. And then Cleveland leaves the door open, and the Knicks open it a little more, open it a little more, and then Brunson takes his arm and swings it wide open and starts through the doorway, followed by Bridges and Shamet and everybody else as the Knicks go on to a one-sided overtime win, 115-104. Look at the final score years from now, and you'll say, "Yeah, what are we talking about here? Overtime, it's 115-104." Go back and look. This is the biggest comeback in the 4th quarter in 13 years in the playoffs. Now, we get big playoff comeback wins. We've seen them. But this is one that hurts. I'm sorry. If you're Cleveland, this is a bitter, bitter pill because you know you have to win here. Knicks are good on the road, and you have to win here to win this series. You can't get to the promised land. You can't get to the finals if you can't beat them in the Garden. And there you were, up 22 points, smiling on the bench, up 22 points with Harden on the foul line, looking to make it 23, which he didn't. And then the next thing you know, the Knicks had scored 18 before you had scored your 94th point. Harden didn't score the 94th point on the foul line. And then before you scored another point, the Knicks had scored 18 in a row. And the place was going absolutely bonkers. Actually pinching itself. Can you believe this? Can you believe this one? Because, hey, 7, 8 minutes left, you could hear a pin drop in that building. An absolute pin drop. Now, I thought the Knicks would win this series in 6. I wouldn't be surprised now if it's 5 because I think this game will have lasting impact on Cleveland. I really do. I think it's an absolutely you're gonna have to pick your team off the floor kinda loss. It's not one that you say, "Hey, it was one game 1, we had our chances, let's go get them." No. That's okay if you're in the 4th quarter and the game's tied and you're playing well and you say, "Hey, we coulda gotten them in game 1." That really sets us up for game 2. Not when you blow a 22-point lead in the 4th quarter with a 7-minute game 7 minutes on the clock, get 22 points lead. You can't lose that game. Make a couple of foul shots, get fouled, get a defensive stop, make a play, get a rebound. At that point, everything has to go wrong, and everything on the other end has to go right, and it did. So I can hear the celebration across Midtown. I can hear the noise. I can hear the reverberations from the garden all the way here. One for the books. On one end, an incredible, incredible comeback. On the other, a devastating choke job. Nothing short. I'm sorry. Nothing short. Now, if you're looking for a betting angle, check out the top picks news feed in your Bet Rivers app. The Bet Rivers banter news feed is filled with picks from the Bet Rivers network personalities and other handicappers who give you expert insight. So, you check out what their trends are, you check out what little inside info they might have, or little things they about this team does this team does that against that team, blah, blah, and whatever. And then you make your own assessments, you put your own thoughts into it, and you make your wager, which is the fun part of the whole thing. Like I said, I was already preparing. 7 minutes, I was already starting to prepare what I was gonna say about, "Hey, so you thought this was gonna be easy, huh? You were overconfident. No one thought the Knicks could lose. 3-1 favorite, blah, blah, blah." Had to change that tune. Thanks to Brunson, thanks to Bridges, thanks to Shamet, and due to some just awful execution on both ends of the floor and decisions by the Cavs. Awful. Absolutely hideous. 44-11 with a 22-point lead. Oh, now, one other thing I wanted to mention tonight, so you can get on with your celebration. Yankees held on and won, so you're happy. I was checking out the Met game. I've been fascinated by Bichette because I said all year Bichette was really gonna hit. I loved him. I loved the move. I thought he was a terrific hitter. And I've been so puzzled by the whole thing. And then the other day, he, in extra innings, got a couple of base hits and hit a home run, and he had 3 hits and blah, blah, blah. Then tonight, I see he hits a home run in the 1st inning. Then he comes up and hits another home run. So now he's had 2 home runs, and all of a sudden, you look and you say, all of a sudden, he's got 5 homers, which isn't dreadful. All of a sudden, he leads the team in RBIs, and he's done nothing since the start of the season. And now, bing, 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 here he comes. And as soon as one problem solved, Bichette is back. Soto hits a home run. Now you got a 1-2 punch. Now you got the guys you've been dreaming about since the winter. As soon as as soon as one Problem is solved. Another problem rears its head. Well, really 2. Number 1, the Mets have been very sloppy defensively. They were again tonight. Number 2, you got a 5-0 lead. You got your hotshot kid on the mound, and he gets pounded like that. Wow. Now, it's only 1 game. You don't wanna overreact to 1 start. He's been good, he hasn't been great. He's had some issues in the middle innings, okay? He's been puzzling sometimes by his pitch assortment at certain times once he gets into the 5th and 6th inning. But then tonight, 9 runs on 8 hits, a couple of walks, couple of homers. I understand he threw 5 2/3, but boy, you don't expect to see him. I understand the Nationals hit, but you don't expect to see him get hit like that. So, to me, does that was that an eye opener? Yes, it was. I did not see the entire innings 'cause I'm watching the Knick game. I saw a couple of the highlight plays. I'll go back and see the whole innings tomorrow probably, but that's an eye opener. So as one problems looks like it might be solved, as Bichette it's 2 homers, knocks in 4 runs. Now all of a sudden, the guy's got 25 RBIs to lead the team. He's starting to move in the right direction. He's gotta be feeling good about himself. He's got 3 home runs in the last 2 games, okay? But, hey, when they have a 5-0 lead against the Nationals and their best pitcher on the mound, they expect to win the game, not get beat 9-6. That was a that was a shot. Defense was poor. Sure didn't cooperate in that regard. I know they had some hits. I know you got 2 hits, 3 hits out of Benj, and you got, 2 hits out of Bichette and a home run out of Soto and 2 hits out of Vientos and on and on and on. But you don't expect the second baseman to play a ball that way. You don't expect the catcher to make the mistakes he made. You don't expect Taylor to do what he did. So their defense, which is something they have done pretty well, I think they were 8th ranked defensively going into this into tonight's game. And they felt that they had improved their defense dramatically this year, although in some spots they haven't been able to do that, but, because of injuries and different things, but that's a rough one. That's a rough one. 5-0 lead, 2 Bichette homers on the books already. 5-0 lead, and your kid, who you have so much belief in, goes out there and gives up 9 runs on 8 hits. Oh, like I said, one problem solved, another rears its ugly head. Someone once said that's baseball. I guess it is. So, I can't imagine how giddy the Knick locker room was tonight. I can't imagine how absolutely devastated the Cleveland locker room was tonight. Those are veteran players, and they know that they took a game and they took a conference finals opportunity and basically flushed it with both hands. Coming back from that won't be easy. We'll see you later.